The entire experience of the past month has been torturous, but who cares? It's finally over!
This weekend, it's really important to me.
This is not an easy path to walk, and many have stumbled along the way. We will not let you fall.
Pure is directed by Hannah McPherson, and it is the final episode of Into the Dark Season 1, and I will not be reviewing Season 2 unless there are good ones. Let me know in the comments. It stars Jakara Smith and McKelly Miller, and it tells the story of a group of teen girls who go with their fathers to a purity retreat, only to end up summoning the demon Lilith. I'm not bitter, my movie came out first. This movie is kind of a huge mixed bag, and while I certainly didn't have fun watching it, I felt a certain semblance of joy after it was over, but that might just be because I never have to suffer through an Into the Dark movie and review it on this channel again. Pure is a film that has a lot of promise, but like all the other Into the Dark episodes, it falls short in its scripting and execution. The production design is immaculate, the acting is pretty good, the message it's trying to get across about Christianity's hypocrisy and the creepy-ass nature of dads bringing their daughters to purity retreats to safeguard their virginities is a good one. But none of that really matters when your movie is just so boring. What this movie does right, it does really right. Like I said, the production design is stellar. This is a well-shot movie. It's clearly inspired by Ari Aster in its cinematography, and when it wants to, it can actually deliver on some genuinely uncanny and unnerving visuals. The opening dream sequence of the film, for instance. When it wants to give you some genuinely memorable and haunting visuals, it does. But those visuals are kind of the only thing about it that I would call great, and everything else is subpar. The acting is okay, the best performance is coming from McKelly Miller and Jakara Smith, or as some of you may know her, Sailor J.
If the men find out we can shapeshift, they're going to tell the church. Men don't like nostrils. You want to look like a pterodactyl. Men love pterodactyls.
Even their performances, though, aren't anything great, and I would say that McKelly Miller is better in films like Ma, and I would say that Jakara Smith is better in things like YouTube comedy. Scott Porter as the creepy pastor is a good addition to the movie, but even his best material doesn't come from his performance, it comes from the gross misogynistic shit that he has to say that really lend into the themes of this movie. And that's something this movie gets right. Its horror is less frightening than its real-world elements. The Christianity portrayed in this movie is a real thing. People do this. It's considered normal. That scares the hell out of me more than any of the demonic shit in this movie ever could. Especially when you consider that all of the demonic activity in this movie is really low-key and kind of lazy. It's just a spooky demon girl popping up in really weak jump scares that I can only believe are placed so frequently to prevent the audience from falling asleep. It's pretty pathetic from a horror angle, but the Christianity angle is so disturbing and fucked up and weird, especially when you take into account the fact that it's real, that it's far more disturbing than anything else this movie has to offer. Once again, this movie's problems all come down to the script. The dialogue is bland, the themes are stated outright in a lazy expository monologue in the first act. Those themes about Christian misogyny and its goals of enslaving women and women needing to empower themselves are interesting ones, but it never even tries to explore them past the surface level. Its subtext is all just text, and if it really wanted to, it could have explored those in a much more interesting way. Honestly, for most of the runtime, I was expecting it that Shay was going to end up being the only one who is actually a virgin in the group and everybody else was not. And honestly, that would have made more sense and worked in more conjunction with the themes than what we ended up getting. Pure was extremely mediocre. It was a visually interesting film that floated some interesting ideas, but never felt the need to explore them on any deeper level. Much like every other Into the Dark episode, except for like 2. I'm gonna say that Pure is meh, and that Into the Dark Season 1 was an absolutely horrid experience of mediocre film after mediocre film, and I never want to subject myself to that ever again. Thank you all for suffering with me. I'm leaving this earthly plane. Goodbye.